Here we go. SaaStr's almost here.
It is almost here. It's sooner for us than it is for everybody else.
Yes, you'll be there in a few days. Yep.
Yep, exactly. Um, well, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. Let's see. We'll join. Cool. Okay. There's actually a few things. Actually, let me pull over just a couple things here we want to go over. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, first and foremost, there's only two of these sponsor insiders left, so thanks everyone for joining. We do live stream these as well. So yeah, you can always watch it back, or if you want to send to other team members on your team, it's also on the SaaStr YouTube channel, streaming live. So there's that. We'll do one more next Thursday as well at the same time. If you have any questions as we go, please drop them into the Q&A in the Zoom if you're watching in the Zoom. So yeah, a few things we want to go over. I think first and foremost, we talked about it last week, but I just want to double share on the lead capture format, just because most of you should have your email already. We sent them out Monday morning. If you don't have it, it might have been that you submitted afterwards in the portal of who your sponsor lead capture admin should be. So just as a reminder, or maybe you haven't done it yet. I know there's a few people who haven't done it yet and are looking for info on how to start setting up the lead capture. There is nothing to scan yet, but I can give you guys like my QR code if you want to scan me as like an example. But yes, so for lead capture, there's a few things to know. One, if you haven't submitted yet, who should be your lead capture admin? Come into the sponsor portal, go to the task list and scroll down. You'll see there's a place to do nominate your lead scanner admin right here. We just need their email address. This should be somebody who will be on site. So it's not that it's like strictly necessary, but you do need to be ticketed. So it does need to be somebody who will be ticketed in your ticket allotment. And yeah, typically it's better if they are on site so that if, this person goes to the Captello help desk, which is what we use to power the lead capture, that those folks know that you're the admin and that you're verified, to ask them any questions, make any changes, so forth. So yeah, highly recommend this is somebody who is going to be on site and with you. And also it is better if they already are ticketed using one of your sponsor passes to SaaStr. So that's first and foremost. If you haven't gotten it, do submit your lead scanner admin here. If you just submitted, I know they're going to do another push of emails tomorrow morning, just based on anybody who submitted between when we sent it and then to present. So that's the first step on lead capture. Second is like, what do you do once you get it? You will get an email from Captello. It does not come from us. So you'll see it'll come from Captello. Basically, it just auto logged me in there. But there's just a few things to do here. First and foremost will be the setup. So I know there's been a few questions on like, how do we add people? That is going to be in this setup. So if you're logged in to Captello as the admin, you come to setup. And basically, I would click here to add a user. So if I wanted to add David, I could add him right here, just David. And put in his email. And then basically, I'm just going to invite David. Why not? David can now start scanning. So basically, what I would do then is it's going to email David. I would need to give him this authorization code. It doesn't give it to them. So I'm not going to unhide it in case someone tries to use yours. But you basically unhide this pin and send it to them. And that's what they need if they're not the primary admin. So in this user case, I'm the primary admin. I just added David. And then they would need to, it would say this in their instructions, but they would need to download the Captello Lead Capture mobile app. It is a different and separate app than the SaaStr Who Do You Want to Meet app, and it is not the SaaStr Events app. It is the direct Captello admin. So that'd be the way to do that. There is a question in the chat. If we've already set up our lead admin, but they're not going to be on site and they're not ticketed, can we change it? Yeah, email our events team because that's something they will need to loop in the Captello team to change. We don't have that authorization, but they will. So you'll need to reach out to us to get that changed. Again, we do recommend it as somebody on site and ticketed. It just helps a lot. The Captello team will be there. So again, if they can't find your name easily in the system because you're not the admin, there's just going to be like a route of like approvals, and you're not going to want that. You're going to want it to be super easy to just go through and get the information you need. We also say that because the lead capture admin will be able to download those reports in real time. So once you set up your capture form, so this is the capture form here, you can do view form. This is where you can configure it of what you want to capture. We've done this a long time now. I'll say try not to keep it too long. I know some people are like, oh, we like have mandatory fields that we need from each person, which I am sympathetic to. But just so when you're on site, things do move fairly quickly, so it might not be ideal to fill out each and every, like, I don't think you're gonna really want to type in their whole address every time you scan somebody. So just something to bear in mind there. I know a lot of people do things like ratings, so they'll do like, do I want to, I already have ratings. Do I want to do like hot, cold, warm, right? So that as we're capturing folks, we kind of know post-event who to follow up with first in the ranking system. But other than that, again, I would try and keep it fairly simple so that you're not, your team doesn't have to fill out, because just every scan, they're going to have to see this pop up and like verify it. So keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is we only provide certain fields. So SaaStr only provides to you the first name, last name, email, company, job title, and country and for anybody that you do scan. So every other field, even if you put it in, like if you put in mobile phone number, we don't provide that. So that is something that like your team would have to write in their phone number if it's a requirement for you, or if it's something you want to get their phone number. It doesn't mean that if you drag these fields over that we auto-populate it. It's really, those are the only fields that we provide.
Hey, Amelia, I'll just add, I already got the email.
Great.
And it was super clear. It had the authorization code in it.
Oh, great.
I had the app from previous years, but I had to re-download it because I don't use it not during SaaStr. So, and I already did that, and I'm logged in, and it's super easy and ready to go.
Awesome.
So I think it'll be really easy for your team. I see another question, but anyway, it seems to be working.
Great. Awesome. So the next would be what happens next, right? So as you scan people on site, you'll see them show up as leads. I scanned myself. So we'll give you guys like, actually, maybe I'll make a new QR code that's not exactly me for you guys to scan as like the test one. I'll make it for my dog, but you can scan that QR code as like the test. You'll see it come up here as a capture. It does sync in pretty much real time. And then you can, most people are not going to be downloading this every hour. Again, it gets fairly busy on site. I would recommend just downloading it at the end of each day. But again, that's why it's super handy to have this person also be there and then just share it out with the team who needs it. These I've never really used for reports and stats. So yeah, that's really the gist of it, is just setting this up for how you want it to be in the capture. So yeah, we have a little guide here that explains that of what you get in the capture. So again, I know there's probably like 10 or so of you who are still missing this. So again, if you haven't submitted yourself as the admin, please do that. And if you did submit recently, you'll get that email tomorrow morning. And then after that, I'm sure we'll start to chase people that are missing their lead capture, just so we can make sure that you guys are all set up. As a note too, if you come for early load in either Monday or Tuesday, again, the Captello team will be there. So if you have any questions, they can help answer it directly. I think just last related thing, I've seen a few folks ask if you have a company policy and you can't use your device to scan, what can you do? So yeah, Captello, the way it works, the way it just emailed David, is you download the app on your phone, your mobile device. You can download it for iPads. So if your company has like company iPads, you can use that. If you need to rent one, this is where you can go to the resources section in the sponsor portal, go to the additional AV form, and work with ETS, who's our AV vendor, to get an iPad rental. It is technically past the deadline, but I know they have iPads, so just order sooner rather than later if you do need some iPads for lead capture. I think just a related note on that, there is Wi-Fi throughout the campus. So I've seen a few folks say, "Do I need to order Wi-Fi?" I don't. I think this is maybe just stemming from other events that don't have campus-wide Wi-Fi for sponsors. I don't know. We've always had it, so we have campus-wide Wi-Fi. There's a dedicated network for sponsors, and then all the Super Gold, Platinum, Platinum Plus, and Diamond sponsors have a hard line included in your booth. So if you're one of those, what you can also do is use an iPad to connect to the Ethernet. You can't really do it on your phone, but Apple sells these handy like Ethernet cables that you can connect to an iPad. So you can also do that if you're like really, really nervous about it. You shouldn't need to. I've never had that go there, but that's where you can do that. Chat is saying the link on the AV order goes to an error page. It's probably because it's past the deadline. Let me just see. Yeah, it's because it's past the deadline, guys. So what you can do in that case is fill out that form and fill this out, like download this, fill it out, send it to us, like events@SaaStr and we'll loop in the AV team. It's because they've closed their online portal now since it's past the deadline. But that's what we'll do. We'll loop you in with them directly so you can get any additional iPads. But yeah, that's the spiel on Wi-Fi. That's the backup plan on iPads. I don't know. I guess just any other like lead scanning tips and tricks too.
Yeah, I think, having just a plan of what you want your team to do. Do you want to scan everybody that walks by? I think that's great. It
Probably
just
not.
I mean,
I'm like, I
tell your,
wouldn't. That's too many
yeah,
people to follow
no,
up with.
yeah, no, exactly. Like it really just depends, right? Like, do you want to get as many scans as you possibly can? Do you really want to scan people that are,
Yeah.
more qualified and
Yeah.
interested? Think about what you want your team to do and give them directions. Because I've seen sometimes where, you know, the team's not sure. So I think it's just really good to communicate a plan. The technical part of scanning is really simple. These apps are really well done. We've used different apps over the years, but we've landed on this one for the last couple of events, and it's by far been the best one. So, they'll be on site to help if there's any issues. Don't worry about it. But just, I think communicating what your game plan is with your team is important.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Cool. Other things on, I think packages I've seen as like one of the most prevalent questions this week. So coming into shipping, I think this is because folks now maybe have their swag or know what they want to do. So shipping. So shipping, and then I'll also talk about material handling, which is related. I know a lot of folks have been asking this week, like, hey, can we carry things into the venue? What's the process for doing that? Let me make sure I also open up our attendee portal. So I'll show you guys a few things there. But first and foremost on shipping, shipments need to go to Freeman. This is fairly standard. So yeah, this is where you can access the shipping labels and instructions that are in the sponsor portal. So if you come here, you'll see this one is the one that says Freeman shipping and material handling. You download that. This will give you the shipping and material handling. This actually does also explain the material handling of what you can and can't bring in. I know most people don't read this. I know most people are like, I'm not going to read this. This is just words. This is just words. Here's the shipping label. But on pages 1 through 6, it does outline how it works for bringing in shipments, how it works for if you are shipping things, like what it means to do material handling of like bringing it to your booth, how it works if it's not electrical. So again, if you are shipping things to the venue, I do recommend you read through pages 1 through 6, even if you're just shipping swag. So you have a good understanding of how it works on site and once you get there. So yeah, do recommend you kind of read up on these things here. But basically the TLDR is all shipments should go through Freeman. And that is the easiest way to do things. That's also the approved way to do things, is to ship it to Freeman. If you're running out of time, I think there's a related chat question about like, last minute shipments, still getting things shipped, etc. So the ideal path is if you're shipping before the 5th, which is next Monday, you would ship it to Freeman's advanced warehouse. We like to do this. We like to do it this way for a number of reasons. It just means like they're going to palletize it all together. It's a big like it is a big warehouse. It's secure. It's just a lot more secure to ship it to their advanced warehouse if you can. If you're like, there's no way I'm going to get it there by Monday, which might be the boat that you're in, then you would ship it directly to the venue. I will note the reason it says it can't deliver before the 12th is because the venue does not accept weekend deliveries. So if you're like, oh, I set it up with FedEx, or I'm gonna set it up with FedEx or UPS to get it there the 10th, which is like Saturday, or the 11th, which is Sunday, the venue does not accept weekend deliveries. So that's why it goes from like Friday, like it goes from Monday to the next Monday. One, so that if there's any late shipments that went to the warehouse, they can catch those before they bring it to SaaStr. It's also the day of our load in. So we start on Monday going to San Mateo. So that's why like they basically have a split of like they're going to bring everything over from their warehouse and then they're just going to bring stuff over to and from within the venue. So this is the venue day. If you're a little confused about this and you're like, I don't know where to ship it, and it's the 1st, or you ship it on Monday, which is already the 5th, just ship it to the venue. Like just ship it to the venue if you're not sure of like when it's going to get there, or you're worried because it's coming from, I don't know, international. Just ship it to the venue. The most important thing I would say is, regardless of where you ship it, or if you've already shipped it and it's in transit, and maybe it's going to get to the warehouse on like the 7th. Again, that's fine. They're going to check it daily for shipments. If you can give our team a heads up of like, hey, this got to the warehouse, we got like a notification it got to the warehouse after the 5th, that's super helpful so that the teams can go keep an eye out for your shipment and make sure it gets on the truck to us. Other than that, yeah, ship it to the venue pretty much at this point. And make sure you've got some sort of distinction on there. These labels are here because that's the happy path. But if you're working with like a Vistaprint or like, foreign print, and they're not going to use these labels because they're just shipping your swag directly to us off like the manufacturing floor. The most important thing is either your company name or your booth number. So everybody by now has a booth number. If you can put it on both, if you can ask them, usually if you ask these like brands, Vistaprint, foreign print, whatever, they'll do it for you. Like you just place your order and then email them, ask them, hey, can you make sure it says my company name clearly on the to label? They'll make sure it does that. You can, they'll usually accommodate adding your booth number on there. They're usually pretty accommodating if you ask them. But again, make sure your company name is somewhere on there. If not, that's where we always end up opening boxes to see what it is. So if your boxes are open, it's because we didn't know what was in it. And we had to identify it. And hopefully your swag says your company name or has your logo on it, so we know it's for you.
Hey, Amelia,
So
the
yeah,
question about, I'm almost certain the answer here. If you've shipped properly to warehouse on site, depending on the delivery date, eh, what I've seen is Freeman delivers it to your booth, right?
correct.
Unless it's
Yeah, I saw that in
mislabeled,
the chat.
that's where it'll
Yeah,
show up. So again,
that's
if
where
you're
it'll show
doing
up.
all these things, you get on site on the 12th or 13th. If
It's
you're there
there.
first thing on the 12th, maybe they're still moving it over depending on it. But
Exactly.
yeah, the goal is they bring it to your booth. You don't have to go
Yeah.
pick it up somewhere.
Exactly. Yep. They bring it to your booth. They'll collect everything. Yeah, as David mentioned. So yeah, that's the happy path again. Yeah, they do get a lot of last minute shipments. So if it got shipped to the event center versus their warehouse, you may get like one pallet of your stuff from the warehouse first, and then the stuff that was shipped to the venue later. I will say typically stuff that goes to the venue usually comes to Team SaaStr first too, just to most of it's ours.
Hmm.
Some of it's your guys, so we just like to double check that it's either yours or ours, and go from there. And then they'll bring it to your booth. So you don't have to come to us unless for some reason by Tuesday morning, let's say 10 a.m. when you guys get in on Tuesday morning, it's not there, then let us know. Other than that, they're just dropping shipments. Literally, I've seen them drop shipments all day. So all right, so that's hopefully enough about shipping. If you are bringing things in, again, those shipping instructions have the whole spiel on how like material handling works. But my TLDR is if you're bringing things in because you're local, Then the way to do that is to use the dedicated Cloud 20 Delaware address. This is where Freeman will have exhibitor services. So if you're bringing anything from like a car, truck, whatever, however much you're bringing, or you like, let's say, I know somebody like shipped all their swag to somebody local and that person's bringing it in their car versus like shipping it to the venue. This is where you need to check in is at this dedicated Delaware entrance. Go to Freeman Exhibitor Services. You'll see the sign. If you can't find them, ask somebody in like the SaaStr staff shirt. They'll tell you where Freeman is. And Freeman will help you unload and get it to your booth. That's the way to do that. Even if you're bringing small packages into the venue, I would still go to Cloud 20. Again, protocol is to let Freeman decide if it's a high volume enough that they need to do it. If it's a low volume, they may wave you in, but let them make that decision for you. I don't make that decision. I let them make that decision for folks. Good question here in the chat. Should we bring like scissors to unbox everything? Not sure if there's security. There is security, which we'll chat about in a second. My hack for this is just to get like the kid scissors. Like they still work for cutting open boxes. We'll also have like scissors and like box openers and all that jazz to help you guys as you're unpacking. But yeah, if you want to bring just like kid scissors, they still work too. Yeah, you're basically just cutting open tape. But also the Freeman guys will be around. So if you have like a lot of stuff that you've shipped, like they'll help you again, they'll help you get it all open if you want them to. And then they'll let you, go about your merry way of what you want to do with your swag. So it's a good question. I think other things I've seen people do that's like just like pro tip is like if you have a lot of shirts, I always order rubber bands so that you can rubber band them. It's just a little bit easier than like shirts being all loose in your cabinets. I've seen people do like paper clips or like folders if they have like printed stuff that they're giving to people. I've seen people bring like little card stands, like if you have like, again, printed stuff you're bringing and you want to keep it organized, again, that's just stuff that's a little bit easier to keep your booth less messy, a little bit more organized. But yeah, usually that stuff is just kind of like nice to have. I've also seen people literally like Instacart. If they're like, oh, I need rubber bands or I forgot pens or, I mean, you shouldn't need to order any booth snacks because there's so much like coffee at SaaStr. I would try and avoid that if you can, because even I have tried to Instacart to the venue and they always get lost. Like it is such a crapshoot. It is such a big campus. So don't recommend that. If you come early Monday, there's a Target like 10 minutes away you could go to physically. But yeah, I wouldn't try and Instacart stuff and I wouldn't try and DoorDash food either. Same spiel, right? It's just 40-acre campus. There's a lot going on. Usually those deliveries get like rejected or lost to the wind. So keep that in mind. Cool. I think other things we want to go through, just last but not least, of things we've seen pop up recently and things you should be thinking about is if you do any sort of activation, so there's just a few of you, you've already got an email from our team and Wendy of, the COI requirements, the permit requirements, just make sure you do fill those out from there. Other things to consider, I know not everybody is registered yet, so that is something to note. Making sure you use your registration codes to register your team members. Staffing and schedule, again, we always recommend staffing with more execs than you think you need, since more than half of our audience is C-level folks and VP level and above. I know some folks have talked already about like, what their teams are going to be wearing on site just for like dress code purposes. We are like a business casual event. So yeah, you can think about what you want to wear as a team. I'm just going to go over a few things for the booth because I think I've seen these questions come up lately. I'll use the Super
Hey,
Bowl as a, yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, Amelia. If a team can't find their registration link, what's the best way to handle that?
Events@sastrinc.com.
There you go. Email us events@sastrinc.com and we'll get it to you. So there you go.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so just a few things on the booth that I think I've seen a few questions lately. I think this has come up of like in the schedule, which we will go through in a minute. Like what does that mean for, do I need to necessarily come early on Monday or Tuesday morning? What does that mean for us? Like I've also seen people like confused on like if they need to order power outright in general or not. So just a few last things and reminders for folks. Again, if you need to order AV, which we covered earlier, you're going to fill out the form that's on the sponsor portal, send it to us so we can loop in the AV team. It's technically past the deadline, so make sure you do that sooner rather than later, or they may honestly start to run out of equipment. I mean, in which case we have other scenarios that you can go through, but that's the easiest path. For things like power, power is included in your guys' booth. You would really only need to order extra power if you're bringing in an activation. So there's like 6 or 7 of you that have powered games. Like we always recommend using dedicated power for those. We don't recommend using the power that's in your booth. It's usually not the same ampage that you need to run any games. So that's where you would need dedicated power. You can order that via Edlin, or again, if you need to order something and you're not sure, just reach out to our team so we can loop in the right points of contact since it's fairly late in the game. Furniture would have been through Freeman, but that's also past the deadline. So again, you can try kind of the routes on the sponsor portal, but they may kick you to us and be like, hey, is this approved to get us like a last minute ad, etc. But other than that, everybody has at least even the golds have at least 2 power drops, and there are strips. So like each booth has at least 2 power strips, meaning like in a gold booth, there's power that goes in this cabinet. One of them is going to be taken up by your monitor, and then there's like another power strip that goes in the front cabinet. So again, for most people, you should not be needing to order extra power. Because you have 2 power strips, so that'll give you like, I don't know, at least 3 per strip to plug things in. Again, something just food for thought / pro tip. Some people have brought dedicated iPads to do their lead scanning so that if your like phone dies, like you still have something to scan on, or those portable batteries are your friend if you don't want to be plugged in at all times. Good question in the chat just related to this. The TVs are included. That is correct. So the TVs that you see here in the mocks are included. You do not need to order the monitors, and all the monitors come with an HDMI hookup. So that is standard. Don't come with a USB. You won't be able to plug it in. Don't come with a Fire Stick. We tried that a couple years ago. They don't work. So just straight up HDMI. Good old classic, old-fashioned HDMI. So if you've got a Mac, make sure you bring a dongle if you don't have a MacBook Pro. Again, I know a lot of sponsors will bring dedicated devices for lead scanning, and some of them will bring dedicated like laptops to hook up to the monitor via HDMI. So it's not like, you have to unplug and replug in all day. Dealer's choice here. I've seen it either way, but just something to remember there. And then all of your booths come with a set number of like stools. I know a lot of you ordered like extras, whatever. So there's that. But yeah, for basic things like, AV, power, that's included. So anywhere you see here a monitor, that's already included. Anywhere you see a cabinet is power pretty much. So like in a super gold, we went over the gold. In a super, it's the table and then it's at the front cabinet. In a platinum, it's the 3 of these. So it's cabinet, table. Again, so you should be covered on not needing additional power. I will forewarn you guys, power is one of the worst things to add on site because it's under carpet runs. So if they are not always able to accommodate getting you more power if they literally can't pull it from somewhere else that's nearby to drop you an extension. So if you need power, that is where you should be ordering that now ASAP. There's a question if the silver booth has room for a freestanding monitor. It does not. It has one monitor included on the back wall, and that is all that will fit there. But hopefully this is helpful for you guys to know like what's included / if you need to order anything last minute. Again, power should only be if you have any sort of like game or activation that you're bringing in that needs dedicated power. Monitors that you see here are all included with HDMI hookups. And honestly, most people are set with this. Like, it does get pretty crammed. And think about like the reason we try and add like the people to the mocks is I'm like, by the time you put your people in the booth, it's full. um, so yeah, I don't recommend over like subscribe. I've seen folks like do go crazy on like these ancillary orders and they get there and you can cancel them, and the fact that like you can tell Freeman like, oh, I just don't need them anymore, but they're still going to charge you. So like I've seen people go like full ham of like they order extra power, they order all these extra monitors, they order all these extra like devices, and then they don't have room for it because there's just too much. Like by the time there's even a few of you in the booth, like it's your booth is and like you want to leave room for customers and prospects, so it's like inviting and stuff, y'all. So yeah, I wouldn't try and like overstuff your booth. I'd also try and keep it fairly clean, for a number of reasons. Like one, unless you're platinum and up, everybody has a neighbor, so you guys have like shared spaces, alleyways, common ways, all that's jazz. There's like electrical and power and people everywhere, so keeping it tidy is always awesome. It's also, better for fire code and just safety of everybody at SaaStr, if you keep it super tidy. So I know like last year we were like helping people a lot with like box management, et cetera, swag management. So again, as David mentioned earlier, like Freeman is going to drop all your swag at your booth during setup. Anything you don't need that doesn't fit in your booth does need to go back with them so that they can do managed storage. You can't just like leave it in the aisles. That's obviously a fire hazard. So just a point of mind there. If one of us comes by and we're like, hey, this box needs to go back to Freeman. That's why. Obviously, we don't want folks to like trip or anything to knock on wood. Nothing has caught fire yet. So um, there's a few other good questions in the chat we'll get to. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful on like what you might need to do still in the portal. I would say lead scanning, and if you have an activation is important there. A note on registration and customer passes. So again, there's some of you who have like some of your team registered, and there's some of you who have no people registered. So if you haven't done so yet, highly recommend you register your teams. There was technically, I think, a deadline of today to do this, but well, I may just register your team. We're gonna start,
And
making,
that's how
yeah.
that's how they get access to the event. So there's a question about
That's how
that.
yes, there's
They
that
have
too,
to be
yeah.
registered. Amelia, do they need to bring ID?
You do, yeah. So it's in our attendee portal. It's a good related question of like what do you need to bring with you to the show to get access. So we've talked about this before, but I'll just pull up. And the reason I flip between the attendee portal guys and the sponsor portal is like the sponsor portal, for instance, on the homepage has the hours for like sponsor early load in. Like if you go to the attendee portal, it's got a lot of really great information for attendees, but some of it is not the sponsor stuff that is just for you guys to know. So um, on the sponsor portal, if you come starting Monday, Tuesday, or some of your team members come later, basically the spiel for registration of what they need is to be ticketed. So that would be like your ticket confirmation. If for some reason they can't find it, again, events@saastring.com so they can help you find their ticket confirmation. So that's one. Two, I'll give you the best pro tip in the world, which is if you have not yet downloaded the SaaStr Who Do You Want to Meet app, and I know it's a long name in the App Store. I'm sorry, I named it. It's SaaStr Who Do You Want to Meet. It looks like this. You do have to be ticketed to join the app. So like you can download it, but you won't be able to like log into it until you have a ticket. But once you do, once you log in, you'll see on this nice like hamburger menu or on the bottom of my iPhone, you can see QR code. This is your check-in QR code. So it's a bit different than the one that's on the badge. But this is your check-in QR code you can use to um, that you can use to check in to the show without needing to like go find a registration. So like when you walk up to registration, you can just scan your QR code on the iPad. It'll like pop you up right away because it's attached to your ticket. That's the fastest thing. Like you can also like this doesn't change. So like if you screenshot this now, I know like people screenshot their photo pass at Disneyland, same spiel. Like just screenshot your QR code. You can do it now so that when you get there, you just scan your little codie and then you can get in. Everybody does need to do their own badge. So like if I show up and I'm like, oh, I've got team members coming Wednesday, you cannot pick up for everybody. Everybody does have to get their own badge. So just something to keep in mind there. Um, the other thing to note is like the names will need to match. So like if I register, whatever, 10 people on my team, and somebody is sick, That's something where you would need to go to the help desk that's on site and have them transfer that ticket to, the new person with permission, whatever. So that's all things you need. You will also need ID. So yeah, that's last but not least, you'll need ID that matches. Again, each person will need to go through registration with their ID to not only pick up their badge, but we do daily ID checks. So every time you re-enter, you will need to just do another ID check as well. So just keep that in mind. Keep your ID handy. As I think many of you do, I've got like a photo of my ID on my phone. That's again, in case you forget your wallet in like the hotel room and you're coming back and forth, I would have like at least a digital version of your ID on you. Or I know some people don't want to carry their physical ID because they don't want to lose it. So yeah, you can do photo is fine. It just has to be you. So it does have to be you on the ID. And that it's a copy of. ID format, like I know this is lame, but like if you're in the US, just a reminder if you're flying to SaaStr, which most of you are, that you do need a freaking real ID now.
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't have one, but it's like you can't use your passport if you don't have one. But yeah, you do need a real ID for flying to SaaStr. That's not our rule. That's obviously the airport rule. So just as a brief reminder there, I know I've seen it a lot at the airports lately, so I just thought I would throw that out there in case you guys forgot. But if you're within the US, you do need this freaking real ID or your passport to get on the plane. So whichever one of those you use to get on the plane will be the ID that you use to get into SaaStr. Just as a reminder. The deadline has finally come for the real IDs. I'm like, why couldn't it be after SaaStr annual? It's before. Okay. So yeah, that is just a reminder there. If you're coming international, obviously that'll be your passport. Other things to note here, this is the schedule, right? So if you have not already booked your flights and hotels, definitely recommend you do that based on the schedule. You can come early Monday. You can come, if not, you can come bright and early Tuesday morning at 9. And then we open to attendees at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So you should be what we call quote unquote like show ready, SaaS ready by the time it's 12:55 on Tuesday. The next portion I want to go over is I know a few folks have been asking like parking, other things. So like a lot of that is here in this attendee portal. So again, yeah, once you get registered, that will get you access to the app. Once you're registered as well, that would allow you to like pick sessions on the like either the web app or the mobile app. You can't do that until it is there. So the way to use and like navigate your way around, again, there's a lot in this attendee portal that we recommend all sponsors read. I've seen parking as a big request lately, so that parking request form is here. Just fill out, your name, who it is. I mean, if you're not sure if you need parking all 3 days, I'd probably just say that you need it all 3 days. But you don't need to click like I need Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You would just say just click once all 3 days. That's it. And hit submit. So that's for parking if you guys are parking. If you are staying at the Hampton Inn, which is now sold out, there is the SaaStr shuttle that runs at these times on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that you can catch. If you haven't booked your room, there's a few left at the DoubleTree. In that room block, it's a little bit further. It's not that far though. So it's just the shuttle just doesn't run there. So keep that in mind. We've also seen folks, again, just request parking and maybe get a rental car for the whole team because it's a little bit cheaper than Ubering. Uber, Lyft, etc., whatever you use is typically surge pricing during SaaStr. So just keep that in mind too. Fun stuff. Okay. Other things to note, yeah, in agenda and sessions, because I've seen a few chat questions about that and like what should we plan for? I think this is a good related question in the chat of where do we go for like when is the most, and I've seen this question a lot, when is the most like highly trafficked time at SaaStr? And the good/bad answer is there's not really a downtime. So I would plan to have at least one person in your booth at all times. Peak times, if that's what you're looking more so for. I would say Tuesday because it's really a half day. Like for you guys, it's a full day. For us, it's a full day. But for attendees, it's a half day. It's pretty much crowded all of Tuesday. So like this 1 to 7, there are people around the whole time. Same thing with Wednesday mornings. So there's more sessions in here now. But if I scroll over to like Wednesday morning, we open bright and early at 8. There's a lot going on. Um, and it's the middle day is always our most jam day. Like it is a lot. So if you're also like, what days should I book meetings with like other people or like customers that are coming on our customer passes? Tuesday, Wednesday are a little bit better, but still busy. And like Wednesday is what I call like insane. So it's usually like the most is going on Wednesday. Um, Third, like there's also like, there's happy hour on Wednesday, there's poker night. There's a few other things I'll call out on the agenda that you guys should sign up for. Thursday morning is what I call a slow roll. So I wouldn't say it's a lull. There are still plenty of people there Wednesday morning, especially the international folks. But it is a little bit of a slow roll because there's a lot of like offsite after parties going on. But yeah, by the time we start content at, which I think 10, plus there's all these workshops. Yeah, by the time we start content at 10, it's like full up again. So that might buy you like a little half hour of sleep, but it is pretty much busy at all times. And we have people stay all the way till closing at 6 p.m. So again, those are maybe more so the peak times, but it's pretty much all trafficked because of how we engineer the hall. It's not just like you guys as the sponsors are in, whatever, a separate hall or whatever to everything else. You are in the thick of it. So yeah, there's always something going on at all times. A few other things I'll just point out for like registration, for instance, if you are staying at the Hampton Inn, there is a satellite reg there on Monday, Tuesday. So if you're staying there and you're coming in, you can get your badge there. Um, if not, you can come to San Mateo County Event Center. You do just need to pick up your badge once and then go through the express lane. So once you get on site, you'll see there's like an express lane you can utilize if you've already picked up your badge to get in. Again, we pointed out earlier, but if you have anything that you're bringing for like swag and stuff, you need to use this entrance and not this big entrance. So yeah, highly recommend you guys use um, the addresses here that are listed. So you'll see it here. This is where it says like main sponsor entrance. This is the one that has, this is like the main entrance. And then this is the one that has the shipping. These are the Freeman people basically are at the Delaware one. So if you need that, that's where to get those addresses to like put into your Uber. So other things to keep in mind, if your founder and or CEO is coming, which I think a lot of you are, there's like a mixer on Tuesday, like before content starts. There's a CFO summit if for some reason your CFO is coming, which is probably not all of you, but some of you. There's content on Tuesday afternoon, happy hour, even more content. A CFO CEO mixer, so kind of same thing here. If your CEO is coming, and they want to go to the CEO/VP of Finance mixer. This is one they can register for directly, so they can just say, I want to come to this once they're, again, ticketed and logged in. Same thing with the CEO mixer I just scrolled through. So yeah, if you haven't spent a lot of time on this agenda, I recommend you do it. There's 2 sections of it. So you'll see there's like a top section, and then if you keep scrolling, there's even more because there's like a workshop session. So yeah, I would, pick your sessions. If there's things you want to see. Also, as a sponsor, I would star what time lunch is so that you know what time it is. It's the same time, Wednesday, Thursday, 11:30 to 1:30. That's the times we have lunch. Make sure you grab lunch at some point. Well, again, lots of great companies, lots of great speakers, and content to see here. In the agenda. If you are registered, usually in the attendee emails, we say like which are the hot, like most trending ones. You could also probably guess it just based on the companies that are speaking. So like this one from OpenAI is the top one. This one with Perplexity is the top session. This new one we just added with the head of CS from OpenAI is like a new one that is gaining traction. Tomas's panel is doing really, again, there's Service Titan because it's the CRO. Like there's a lot of really great names and companies to learn from. So definitely if you can carve out time from the booth, go see a session or two. Um, there's happy hour on Wednesday. There's also poker night. There's two versions of poker night. So one is the high rollers version, which you have to apply for. It does not mean it's like high limit Texas Hold'em or whatever. I don't really even know how to play poker, but it just means that the high roller is the VIP area of poker night. So if you're trying to get into this, you'd have to apply and be accepted. Um, but the normal version of poker night, which is just for everyone can go to. You guys can like again register for it here. The VIP version you have to apply for and see if you get in. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, again, there's really great content. Anthropic, that BVP one is doing well. This one from Own is doing really well. Jason's sessions are always well attended. We've got a lot of AI content in the afternoon. Snowflake, I think a lot of people are going to go to Snowflake. Box. I know some people are like, oh, do like attendees leave on the last day? Is it quieter? I call it a slow roll day because people roll in like they get a little tired and they roll a little slowly, as do I. But there will be plenty of people there again, especially with all the AI sessions we have on the last day. I don't think it'll be any quieter than the other 2 days. It just means people will come kind of in a slowish pace, but then they'll all get in there and you'll be like, oh, there's people in here. So yeah, there's a lot going on Thursday between those two big sessions that we have. It's the finale of the AI demo competition that we're doing with Mayfield, which is exciting. There's the CMO mixer in the afternoon, and then Jason does his like closing AMA, and then we go into like our closing wrap or whatever we call it. I forget what we're calling it now. But yeah, there is basically a lot going on all 3 days. Anything I missed, David?
Oh, I think you got a lot there. Yeah, I think you got, I think you covered all the high points. Yeah, the happy hours, that's definitely a time they're in the sponsor hall. So, that's a time that folks are in the sponsor hall moving around, definitely
Yeah,
something to keep in mind. That first day, there's not a lot of content. Sponsor hall is booming. That's where everyone's excited to show up and be there and a ton of energy. Um, yeah. I It's going to be a great few days.
awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Drop any last questions you guys have in the chat. This is the bulk of what we want to go through. I see a lot of questions about brain dates. I see some of the same questions about brain dates. So I'll flip over to brain dates. Um, if you're like, I don't know what brain dates are, we did a whole hour deep dive on networking. So we obviously can't do that in 12 minutes. You can watch the replay on the SaaStr YouTube channel. It's called Networking. Um, I'll show you guys where it is real quick. But yeah, it's literally like David and I literally did a whole hour on networking, pro tips, all that stuff. So if you're like, I want to try and take advantage of the networking as a sponsor, or it's confusing me as a sponsor, it's this one that says networking launch. So watch that one. It's literally, you can see it here. It's 56 minutes. So sorry it's long, but we did go through every little minutia detail of networking as a sponsor at SaaStr. So I would do that. There's a few questions on like, when do you get a response on if we've submitted a brain date or if your brain date is not showing up. If you have an approved brain date, let me pull over my brain dates. Hold on. They're over here on my other tab. Actually, I'll show you guys how to navigate there in real time. So if you come to the attendee portal and you're not sure how to get to brain dates, scroll down, go to networking. This will get you to who do you want to meet, and this is the app. So if you're not sure how to get there, this is how to get there. You can do it desktop, app store app or Android app. Pro tip, the brain dates are embedded in who do you want to meet. So like if I hit this one, I can still get to brain dates, which is nice. So this is me. I don't think I wrote this. That seems weird, but that's okay. Uh,
AI. It may be AI did it.
maybe I was like, did I write That seems not like me, or maybe I was tired. Anyways, sorry, on this left sidebar, I got distracted. Your brain date will be here. So if you click that, that'll take you to brain dates. Obviously, I'm logged in for all of this. So yeah, I see a few that were added this morning. Again, if your topic was approved, which it will send you a message. So like when you post a brain date, it does not automatically get posted. It goes through what we call a submission process. It goes through this. It'll either get rejected, in which case the team will send you like a message of why it got rejected, mostly because it's too closely related to what your product does. That's the number one reason. Can't be related to your product in any way, shape, or form. If it gets accepted and you don't see it yet, there's usually like a 10-minute or so delay. So like some of these I know the team approved like this morning and I'm seeing them now. So just give it time, honestly, come back to it later, refresh it. And then if you don't see it, let us know. But there is a delay between like it gets accepted and then it gets actually posted to the platform. So again, usually takes 10 minutes, but if there's a lot that's getting added to the platform, because I know they just added a bunch of these, it can take just a little bit longer to sync up. So just be patient, but you'll probably see it there. If you search for it, I think somebody was like looking for their super brain date. These are what they call, brain date workshops. They're labeled as super group. These are all on here. So that's probably what you're looking for. I think it was prismatic. So yeah, you'll see yours here. Um, Stuff like that. So that's where brain dates are and live. There's another unrelated question in the chat, just related to happy hours. Is brain dates only in, sorry, not as brain dates,
Happy
sorry.
hour. Yeah.
Is happy hour only in Hangar West, which is I know some people are like, what is a hanger? So I'm just gonna hold on. You're probably a multi-year sponsor and you know the hangars like we do, but not everyone knows the hangars. So I'll explain real quick. There's two what we call hangars. They literally used to be airplane hangars at San Mateo County Adventure Center. So that's the scale of them. They're big. There's two that we connect and use for like almost everything on site. So the happy hours are anchored in Hangar West. There's not usually anything going on in Hangar East. Aside from the mixers, as you guys saw as I scrolled through, there's like those mixers that are happening in Hangar East. That are technically, some of them overlap a little bit with happy hour, but content usually ends by the time happy hour starts. So that majority of people will be in Hangar West because there's Hangar East winds down and people move over to Hangar West. So if you don't know the hangar names, it's okay. There's like signage on the outside of the venue. That says the hangars, and also if you just walk and like visually see the buildings, the bigger one is the one that your booth is in Hangar West. So any other, I don't know, I feel like we went through a lot and also a little considering it's in 2 weeks. What else do you want to cover, David?
Yeah, no, look, I recommend email. You could email me with any questions. Email events@sastrinc.com. If we don't get back to you right away, just hang tight.
There's a high
There's
volume.
there's a high volume, a ton of stuff
Very
going
high.
on. But yeah, please, feel free to shoot me an email direct. Email events@SaaStr We will get back to you.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. Just bring it, get excited, have a
Bring your
great
A
attitude.
game.
It's coming soon. Everything's going to work out just great on site. The team there are all pros, and this is what the 11th SaaStr annual, and we'll be the best.
Yeah,
So
we've done a
yeah,
lot of them.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. We've done 11 annuals now, plus a bunch of Europas. So yeah, exciting times. We are, as mentioned, we start our load in on Monday, which is fun times. We'll start to see it all coming together. Again, any questions, as David mentioned, events@sastrank.com. Again, we may not respond to you in 5 minutes. We do try and respond to everybody within 24 hours. We've been able to maintain that. So within a day, you'll get a response. Again, I've also just added a bunch of people to the inbox to help with the volume. It's still like the same level. There's just a lot of questions. So it's all good. Yeah, I could say, most of you are in really good shape. I would say just registering your teams. I think most of you have now sent us your customer passes. Maybe that's what we're talking about for the last 2 seconds. But if you haven't done
yeah.
so yet,
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead, David.
No, I'll just say it's just a great opportunity. We've had, some folks coming out. Someone asked yesterday, "Hey, how do I meet my customers in the Bay Area,
Exactly.
near SaaStr. And that's almost the whole point of the customer passes. So every sponsor has the opportunity to bring some of their customers or prospects to SaaStr as your guest. You've almost all received a sheet. We do it on a shared Google sheet where you can nominate folks. If they qualify, essentially they have to be, working at a SaaS company,
Correct.
director level and above. We will issue
Usually
them a
I say
ticket.
like not your mom, but I'm like, I don't know if you
Yeah,
put your mom on there, I might
yeah.
ticket her because
And yeah, we'll work with you on that. We just make sure they don't already have a ticket. That's actually
correct.
one of the things we're checking, making sure they don't already have a ticket, and then we will issue them the ticket. The tickets they're typically issued like once a week, right, Amelia? Is that
Yeah, once a
yeah, I
week.
get
So
yeah,
I know a lot of you have submitted some during this week. So same thing. Our team pretty much does like an all hands end of days Thursday. We'll go through any like new lead scanner admins. We'll go through any new customer passes later, and then they usually get ticketed like overnight slash in the morning because then it's not bogging down our system of people paying for tickets at the same time. So we try and do it in like
yep,
somewhat off hours, and then they'll get the confirmation right away.
yep.
And basically, how you'll know if they're ticketed is if we do that checkbox on your sheet. So if you see that the box is checked, then you'll know we ticketed them and they're all set.
Yeah. There's a question about how many customer passes you have to give out. It's typically based on sponsor level. It's usually 3 or 5 is the most common. If you have particular questions, email me, david@sasterinc.com, because there's also the opportunity to invite VIPs. So those are
Mhm.
slightly larger companies, VP level and up, and so we can add those as well. So, there's definitely room there, and just if you don't have your sheet or you have extra questions, email me at david@SaaStr Inc. You can include events at SaaStr Inc. and it'll go to the whole team and we'll help you out.
Awesome. Um, I think maybe we've answered all the
I think we're
questions
good.
for
I
now.
think we're good. We've
If you
had a
guys,
good day. We'll be
yeah,
back
think
next
of
week, right?
things, you know how to
Yep.
find us. We'll see you virtually next Thursday, and then we'll see you all on Monday. What day is Monday the 12th?
12th.
Yeah, Monday the 12th. I'm
Yes.
like, I know Monday the 5th because I'm like, that's when I
Yeah. Or
go.
Tuesday the 13th. So we'll
Yeah,
be there and be there. All right.
we'll be there.
Bye
All right, thanks
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks.